Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. We have a nice slate for you today. Some NBA to talk through, some college basketball to talk about, some thoughts from over the weekend. A lot of things happening with the combine and all of that stuff as well. Going to bring in Steven and Jake here. We're going to take a look at our Friday recap, boys. I mean, things definitely could have been worse. That was quite the way to leave the weekend there, Steven.
Yeah, we had a nice sandwich of a Tuesday and Friday killer night. Wednesday and Thursday, but Tuesday and Friday were awesome.
Ebbs and flows, man. This is how this industry works. No matter what you know, okay? You can only stay up for so long. All right, any questions you guys have, please feel free to put them in the chat. We're certainly going to answer all of them. Before we get into the NBA slate and some picks, I know we had the combine over the weekend finishing out. Wanted to get some thoughts on there, Jake. I know that there's a play that you like on the Chiefs, and we'll get to that, but anything you've taken away from this weekend from a betting perspective that we should be looking out for before April?
It was a great weekend if you're a wide receiver or an offensive lineman. If your team needs any of those players, you're looking good right now. This was the fastest wide receiver group of all time. They averaged 4.44, which is insane. We saw the Xavier Worthy ran a 4.21, which is now the fastest of all time, passing John Ross. So there's some speedsters, and even Keon Coleman, he ran a 4.64, which was really disappointing. But he killed the gauntlet drill, and he tested well on other agility tests. So while that might hurt his stock a little, his other tests really showed his athleticism. I mean, he was returning punts for FSU this season, so I wouldn't read too much into the 4.64. But yeah, I do have one play that kind of goes into this. I like Kansas City to draft a wide receiver at plus money at plus 110. I saw 3 mock drafts today, and all 3 of them had Kansas City taking wide receiver. One of them had Lad McConkey going to
He was killing it.
I know, yeah, he ran a 4.39, which is pretty crazy. I knew he'd run like a 4.4, but 4.39, breaking the 4.4 mark was pretty crazy. That was very impressive. I saw Xavier Legette, South Carolina's stud wide receiver, go to them in another mock, and then another one I had Xavier Worthy, but he's probably going to be drafted before after running that 4.21.
Okay, so we're just getting plus money on this right now. You're assuming that we probably won't be able to get a line like this for much longer. This might be an act now situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many good wide receivers in this draft, and that now that they didn't pay Valdez-Scantling, he was due $12.5 million, which is wisely to decline that option with all these wide receivers taking off.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that they're going to probably franchise Snead, right? And that means they're probably going to come up to a term with Chris Jones. So they likely won't have to replace those 2 spots, which means wide receiver is the obvious one to go with.
Definitely. All right, before we get into the NBA, there are some college conference tournaments, beginning this week. Some of the smaller leagues or conferences, but this is kind of where you can start to make the money. So before we get into the NBA slate, 4 things we want to just briefly go over. We're going to start in the Atlantic Sun here. You can see our sim percent chance of them winning the tournament compared to the odds implied percent chance as well. And you can see where we have some value here. So Jake, let's talk about the Atlantic Sun quick.
Yeah, so Lipscomb just beat Eastern Kentucky by 14 in the last game. Eastern Kentucky is coming off 2 straight losses heading into the conference tournament. The ASUN's interesting because they always play at the home court of the higher seeds. So maybe Eastern Kentucky was taking it lightly the last couple games because they did have that number 1 seed locked down. But the model is not a fan of them losing those 2 games. As you can see here, we don't like the value in Eastern Kentucky at all. I like Lipscomb a lot. I think the value of plus 300 is probably where it's at. I don't trust Stetson. They're just too inconsistent. Lipscomb seems to be getting hot at the right time. I think they won like 7 of 8. North Florida, they're fun to watch. They're in Jacksonville, but there's some value there, but I don't love it. I think Lipscomb right here has the best value.
All right, so Atlantic Sun plus 300 on who we like to win. I like that value there. Let's move on to the Patriot League here. Colgate, pretty much the overwhelming favorite, it seems like. But if you were to put your money anywhere else, where would it be?
Probably on American. They beat Colgate earlier this season as 14-point underdogs. So I would bet American, but the Patriot League is also similar where they always play on the higher seeds home court. The Colgate, they've been a little disappointing. I had them -3.5. They won by 3 the other day, so they're on my S list right now because they couldn't cover for me. But I think they've won the last 4 Patriot League tournaments, so they're a hard team to bet against. But I think -250 is way too inflated here. I think probably -150 is more realistic, but Colgate's definitely the team to beat. But maybe sprinkle something on American because +750, and they already have beaten Colgate this season.
Yeah, I like that play there. Before we get into the Horizon League, as far as these smaller conferences in general, do we see a lot of crazy, like, this is March type of energy, underdogs winning, like upsets and crazy stuff, or is this a little more predictable?
It's when there's a team that's at -250 and clearly the number 1 seed, they tend to win. But Colgate's won, I think, 3 or 4 conference tournaments in a row, which
can't keep doing that.
You can't keep doing that. I can't win everyone. So no. I think it could be time that we see a crazy upset in the Patriot League.
Right. Right. I see the NBA chatter starting to head into the chat. So let's rip through these 2 other leagues here. We'll start with the Horizon League. A couple of guys we have value on here.
Yeah, I like this Wright State team a lot. They have Tanner Holden, Trey Calvin. I think they're the most complete team. The problem is that they're playing a pretty good Northern Kentucky team in the first round. If they could get past Northern Kentucky, I like them a lot. I think the value's definitely there, +290. The third best odds as the 4th ranked team. I think that there's definitely some value on Wright State out of all these teams.
I think they beat Oakland by like 20 points at Oakland just a week ago. So that's why the model likes them so much more.
I think the model likes them a lot. Because unlike some of these teams that are slowing down, like Eastern Kentucky heading into the conference tournament, Wright State's been on fire lately. I think they've won most of the last 2 weeks. They've won, I think, all but 1 game.
I could get just a random team that we hyperfixate on. I could be in. That's my favorite. All right, let's move on. We got 1 more league to get through here in the Sun Belt. We have some value on the Raging Cajuns here.
Barely,
yeah. There's pretty much chalk.
A lot of juice.
A lot of juice. Yeah, so the books are kind of screwing us here with all that juice. But if there's any play here, it's on Louisiana at +1200. James Madison's interesting because the Sims, I've loved them all season, and we still have them winning at 44% of Sims. But it's so juiced at +120 that there's no model value. But they're definitely the team to beat. And Louisiana, there's a reason they're +1200 there. They don't have a Jordan Brown who transferred to Memphis anymore. But I could see a slight value at +1200, but I don't love it. I definitely like some of these other ones better. Lipscomb, I think, is my favorite play.
Okay. Yeah, Lipscomb, that was +300 at that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Again, got to cover everything we can, get you guys some good value plays before these conference tournaments get started. We're going to move into the NBA now. Derek mentioning that Ben Simmons is out for the Nets. So let's head into that game here with Brooklyn and Memphis, 2 teams that kind of feel like they're going in opposite directions. Memphis having a really, really hard time as of late.
Yeah, I think they're they're the threat of having the worst record, right? Then Jaren Jackson Jr. seems to be more likely out than in. So I'm going to go with another relatively obscure pick here with Mikal Bridges over half a block at +135, which is a very good return. The model has him at over 50% chance of a block because at home he averages 3 times as many blocks as he does on the road. The over is not above 500, but it's a lot better than his 6-22 on the road. They had back-to-back home games against Atlanta. He had a block in both those games. I think the line's lower because obviously for the season overall, the over is only 20-40, and he had a 6-game stretch without a block before the last 2. But those are all road games. 5 out of 6 were road games. I also like, because Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably out, pretty much everybody, like 100% of the shots from Memphis basically are going to be from wing players that, Bridges would, be matched up with, with not everyone, but I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be should be a lot of volume. When they're not shooting threes, it's going to be, slashing to the hole, and Bridges is a good defender with long arms.
Do we have any value on Claxton at all tonight?
I didn't see any. I mean, not against points, rebounds, and assists. I think the over on his rebounds is might be technically higher at our projection, but not at the juice.
Mm-hmm.
What's his block line? That's all we have projection for 1.98.
His minus 192 on over 1.5, so that's not going to be a good return
What
there.
the hell?
And his rebound number is 10.5, so we don't have a value on there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not valuing the over. We have a 10.1, so there's basically the same as the line.
Right. Big Cheesy asking for the chart here, looking for some of the something whack type of props if we have any.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah.
All right. I don't see any questions on this game right now, so we can head over to the next game. The Clippers headed to Milwaukee. We have a James Harden play here. I think there were some other questions in the chat, but let's talk about Harden.
One quick thing, I just saw the note that Ben Simmons has been ruled out, so that could bump up that projection we just showed. He was still being included in his 6 rebounds, so that could improve Claxton's rebound number if people were high on that.
Someone's
Claxton.
The Jason Kelsey, he went on at 1:00 to do his press conference. So if the chat can keep me updated, obviously we can't be watching it right now. Keep me updated on if he's really retiring because it's going to be really sad. Yeah. Anyways, back to basketball.
He is retiring according to Rappaport. Just posted. Yeah, that was going. That was about to happen.
Well, maybe that impacts the draft. That'd be interesting. About there were some centers that did tested well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, James Harden over an assist. So this is a buy low opportunity. He said, but I like the fact that Westbrook's out. And last night where Westbrook was ruled out, even though the team did not, it was a very close game, low scoring game, and a good big win at Minnesota, he still had 10 assists in that game. And I also love the fact that he was over 10. So he's struggling with a shot. On back-to-back nights, he shoots 39%, which is well under what he's shooting otherwise. So I'm hoping that not only will he be past first, then he'll be first and second, just because he's not feeling it. And Minnesota's got a very and Milwaukee's been playing really well defensively the last stretch of games. So I just think that there's plus value on over 8.5. This is an opportunity to buy low. You can get 7.5 at minus 150, but I'd rather risk that extra 1 assist.
Plus money. I swear I saw a question about Paul George. I could have been totally making that up. If I missed that, you guys can.
We do have a lean on his points, rebounds, and assists. So
he's not really someone we've really bet on, I feel like, this season.
No, because I've been burned by him, and I'm not sure why that is. It's just like I think we were always tight. Like we rarely have major projection value. It looks like the biggest value is on his assist number, as opposed to his points. We like over on all, but not in his rebounds. So the model would advise a points and assist combo.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's move on to someone we do have good PRA value on. Portland headed to Minnesota. Not too much steam going on in this game, a little bit to the under. Let's see, Minnesota is on back-to-back, though.
Yeah, so that's always the people are betting. But Portland just can't score. And DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant are game time decisions. So I'm going with Karl Anthony Towns over 30.5 because that's well under his season average of nearly 34. He's had 3 straight under 20 point per game games and shooting under 40%. I looked it up and it does look like Minnesota likes to feed him and get his numbers in easy situations. Mm-hmm. So, and even if Ayton plays, Karl Anthony Towns has averaged almost over 35.5 in 10 games versus Ayton. So I see this as a spot. He may not play major minutes and blowout wins, but he's going back to last season, the overs 22 and 13 in games where Minnesota's been favored by at least 7 points. And he averages I believe something like 34 points, rebounds, and assists in 32 minutes. So over 1 a minute. So, I'm not going to be scared off by Minnesota's potentially being up by a lot. Because I think that, again, just to make up for a recent dip in scoring, that they'll keep him in there to pump up his numbers and keep him happy, even if the team's up by a lot of points.
What is Minnesota's team total line set at?
Probably 112.5. we have value on the over there. But again, that scares me.
I feel like we have slight value on the under for the game, but I agree. I feel like I could see Minnesota pulling their weight in this situation.
I'm scared about how lopsided the game could be and what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe first half is a safer bet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. All right, let's move on here. We'll head to Washington, headed to Utah. Kind of an ugly game here. Washington just having a terrible, terrible February, but the smart money you're saying is on Washington against the spread.
Yeah, the public, it's flipped now. The public public was on Washington still, and it was higher earlier in the day. But the money smartly is going to Washington because we have most likely they are pretty much out, Markkanen and Kessler. So, and Markkanen is worth over 5 points in point differential. So, and in those games, if the line keeps moving, though, if Utah goes all the way to like only a 4.5 favorite, then that could be a good play because Utah's their straight up win percentage goes significantly down, their point differential goes significantly way down without Markkanen, but their ATS percentage goes up to like 65% because the line often adjusts too much to his absence. But so in this case, I'm going with Taylor Hendricks, who I know nothing about, but maybe Jake does. Yeah, so there you go. He's been playing more recently, and he hasn't hit his 30-minute mark. I'm thinking this could be the game that he does it, but we're projecting 9.5 in 27 minutes. With the last 2 games, he's had 20 total rebounds. I think 13 and 7 with Kessler out. And in February games, 5 games, he's averaged nearly 9 rebounds and assists with the 27 in the games he's had 27 plus minutes. So they've been getting him more minutes. He's earned the minutes. He's actually a pretty decent 3-point shooter. I think he had 2 his last games. We didn't have value on his points, which is why I didn't go with his PRA prop.
Mm-hmm. I had a question. So is Hendricks probably the most impacted player by Markkanen and Kessler being out? Anyone else we should be looking out for player prop wise?
Yeah, he's listed as number 1 on the power forward depth chart with those injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of these players that is so young and he was in the G League for a big chunk of the season that even if it's somewhat of a blowout, they're going to want him to keep playing minutes, just get more experience. So that's
he's got 3 blocks the last 2 games, good rebounding, good shooting.
He was a very good rebounder at UCF last year.
I like that play. I like to know that he'll probably stay in the game. That's what starts to scare me in the regular season. All right, let's move on to Chicago, headed to Sacramento. I think I saw some questions in the chat about this game. We can talk about props, but we actually have some value on the over in this game.
Yeah, I'm not going to – this is what I got kind of hopefully a chalk play where it's just the model's almost 70% on the over because De'Aaron Fox missed the last 2 games, but he's a full participant in Sunday practice, so knock on wood, he's fine. Kings tend to play shootouts at home. They average 6 more points per game. They allow 5 more points per game. So it's like the average total in Kings home games is 242.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago averages as many points on the road as they do at home, 112, but they allow 4 more, 115. So their average total on the road is 227 almost. So it's just, the over 17 and 12 in Chicago road games, 18 and 8 in Sacramento home games. I'm not going to overthink it.
Yeah. One of those you just don't overthink. Any questions about this game? I'll look in the chat. I think I saw someone asking about Kobe White.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any value on him?
We have 1 over his PRA. I don't know if let me look at specific splits. And I did see, even though he played the last game, Alex Caruso was on the injured list, a game time decision type questionable. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't play, there could be these numbers could be better. It looks like it's
Caruso
on 2.5 made threes, but we have 3.5 made threes projected. So that's probably still a good value, even at minus 140-ish.
Could be part of a little 2-leg parlay situation. I saw Big Cheesy put Caruso's line in the chat earlier at 7.5 points, minus 136, but I don't know if his status is still unknown.
Yeah, we do like the over if he plays, and he did play his last game, their last game, I believe. So I would think that he's playing tonight.
Okay. All right, good to know there. Let's move on to the last game of the night here with OKC headed to the Lakers. There are some injuries to be watching out for. Is LeBron playing tonight?
He's listed as fine. I don't see anything that would.
Maybe Derek might know in the chat for us.
He did have a day off, but yeah, the Lakers are basically a pick 'em. Lakers are slight favorites. Model's favoring OKC because they're such a good team, but they did play last night. They won at Phoenix, but still a back-to-back. But on the season, they've been very good with no rest. 7-3 against the spread, more importantly, 7-3 straight up. So it doesn't look like they've faded from that.
Yeah, saying LeBron is questionable here in this spot. Big Cheesy asking about Lou Dort. Lou Dort burned me the other night. 1 for 5 from the 3, I believe.
Yeah.
He's been good the last couple games, so time to buy Lou Dort again.
You think? What about Austin Reeves?
I think we like Austin Reeves. We have over his 23.5 points and assists as far as, let me see if there's a specific bet that's particularly good. We like. I was almost over on his threes, but I think he hasn't been shooting that great recently, so I was scared off by it. Nothing jumping out for him.
I just feel like OKC is going to come into this game so much more motivated for some reason. Like, I don't know why I have that inkling, but I just feel like they're young and want to go play in LA very well.
I don't think Chet played well the last time they played in LA. I think I was on him, and then he did nothing against Anthony Davis. So maybe that's some, try to show up and yeah, he had 9, 8, and 4 in 31 minutes against Anthony Davis. He had a lot of blocks, but that was the one I had. I had over on his PRA at like 27, and he had 21. That kind of annoyed me.
So someone in the chat was asking about Chet's rebounds. If we don't have any really value, I'm assuming, on his over.
We're only projecting 7.8, so that doesn't sound like a good value on him. We're under 8.5. You might be able to get even money on under 8.5. But that's never fun for a good player. That's just. You
just feel like an idiot when they play well.
It's like fading a stock. It's just like kind of just a sour feeling. Like I'm hoping this company suffers and does it terribly, and people lose their jobs and everything else. But sounds like the Paramount story. No offense to her.
Yeah.
Executive suite. But I'm going to D'Angelo Russell over 5.5 assists. You can still get plus money. It is kind of an act now because it's available at plus 106. Actually, a lot of the books didn't post Russell or Reeves lines. So I didn't know why. Maybe you guys, my coworkers here, can help me. But the model has 5.7. I'm hoping to see he's got a quirky road home split where on the road he's money over 7 assists and 19 and 10, and at the home is 5.5 assists. So I'm hoping that to see some. So the line is obviously based on his home split. But recently he's been up. I'm just hoping there's some regression to the mean. In this case, over 6 assists a game, which is where he is. And I did look at point guards who average fewer assists than Russell, 5 to 6 assists a game, and those point guards average 5.7, 4 and 3 over at home versus OKC, versus just 5.2 at OKC.
Wow, that is a mouthful. But I'm understanding. I'm picking up what you're putting down here. I like this. I like when we are asking guys to play better for their home stats if they already are averaging a pretty high number on the road. People are asking about
the fancy graphic. I consider the Hendricks pick a wacky one because you have 2 key injuries, and you might see a guy get 38 minutes and go off for 15. I think the Harden one is a wacky one because of his poor shooting last night. I'm hoping that he's not, I'm going to get going again, after an over 10, and he'll instead just try to get 20 assists.
Real quick, do we have any value on Hachimura here with LeBron being questionable?
Not until he's out. While we're projecting LeBron playing his normal minutes and Hachimura at just 26 minutes, then we're not going to have value on his overs. But obviously, if he gets 37 minutes again, then then we'll probably will.
I'd say it's worth the risk putting the money on it, considering there's a pretty good chance LeBron isn't going to play now. Get the low line while you can. All right, before we hit the recap screen, Jake has one college basketball parlay for us here. A quick 2-leg money line parlay with Howard and Montana.
Yeah, just the go-to teams right here, Howard and Montana. No, I just wanted something to pair Howard with, and because we have almost a value on Howard, but pretty much do have a value. Howard won at Delaware State earlier this season, and now they're playing at home. It's just looking back at Delaware State's road splits last season, where they were 2-15, and they're a little better this season at 6-9. But Howard was 13-2 at home. It's for some reason these teams just haven't played as many games at home as last year, and then on the road. But I still like those splits from last year, which are very favorable for Howard in this game. They have Seth Towns, who's like an 8th-year senior who transferred from Ohio State and Harvard. I think they're just the more talented team, and they're at home. So give me Howard here on the money line. And then Montana, I think they're 8-point favorites, and we have them winning by 11. I just wanted something to pair with Howard to get it closer to even on the money line. But I kind of like that we have good value on this 8-point spread here, and Montana is much better at home than they are on the road. And who are they playing? I think Idaho State, right? Yeah, Idaho State has really bad road splits. So 2 games where teams are at home against 2 teams with bad road splits, and it's close to even on the money line. I like this parlay.
Yeah. Music to my ears. I like fading these road splits. We've had a lot of success with that, especially in college basketball. All right. I think that is all I see question-wise from the chat, as well as let's throw up the recap screen really quick here. A little bit of everything. That NFL draft, that is probably a pick you want to act on now while you still can get some plus money. A lot of strong trends looking that way. A couple NBA player props for you. And, of course, a little 2-legger moneyline parlay from Jake. All right. I think that's all we have time for today. Any questions, as always, reach out to us on Twitter. We'll see you guys tomorrow.